Hello to the all. I hope you're having a blessed day today as I'm having a blessed day, as it's another beautiful day here where I live. The sun is shining and the grass is green and yada yada yada. It's a beautiful day. So I thought I would come out here on top of this hill and I would speak more about God. Specifically about castles that are made out of sand. You know, when I was a kid and when I would go to the beach when I was a kid, I used to build loads of castles and structures out of sand. It used to be one of my favourite things to do at the beach. I would build a castle and its towers and a gatehouse and seashells that I would place on top of the castle, and I would decorate it, and I'd build a moat, of course, so the water can surround it. And it was beautiful. I spent so much time and effort to build this castle of sand. And I was so disappointed when I came back the next day and the tide came in and just destroyed all of my hard work. I felt so disappointed and angry, and I felt like all of my works were for naught. That everything, all the time and effort and planning and designing that I put into this castle was useless. It was pointless in the end, because in the end, it's all going to get destroyed. And that's what went through my mind when I was a little boy. And a thought came to me last night. That is a terrific analogy for salvation. It's a terrific analogy for the religions of this world and how they paint salvation and what it's going to end up being in the end, which is it's just going to be washed away by the tide. All of our works that we try to perform for God to try and earn salvation or to try and impress Him is much like how I was constructing a castle out of sand. We always try to impress Him. We always think the salvation comes out of us. We always think that it comes as a result of our obedience to God, or how we keep His law, or how we live a good Christian life, or something like this, or it comes from our faith. We have to believe, and then that's what saves us, right? And this is the result of the teachings of mankind. It's the doctrines of humanity that's been spread through religions. And this is what we were all told and taught, that this is what saves us. It's not God's work through Christ on the cross that saved us, or at least He's not saved you 100%. He's only saved you 99%, and you have to complete it to 100% by performing or believing or obeying the law or being circumcised or tithing or saying the sinner's prayer or whatever it is. They always get you to build your castle that's made out of sand, although they advertise it as if it's a castle that's made out of stone that will never collapse. And you spend your entire life constructing it and honing it and sculpting it. Every single day you labour for a castle that in the end is going to be destroyed. Because it's not your castle that saves you. It's not our works that saves us. There's only one work that has saved us, and that is the finished and complete work of Jesus Christ on the cross. It's God's work through Christ that has saved us. It's not our obedience that has saved us. It's His obedience and His Father that has saved us when He went to the cross for our sins. It is His faith which He had in His God and Father that has saved us all. And eventually all will be saved from death. This is the good news of our salvation. It's got nothing to do with our works. And if salvation did come out of us as a result of something that we did or accomplished, then in the end we can boast in ourselves. And Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 2 that for in grace through faith are you saved. And this is not out of you for this exact purpose, because if it was out of us, then we can boast in it. And then a fraction of the glory and the praise in the end will not go to God. It will not all go back to God in the end. It will come back to us. Because in the end, it's our works that save us. It's our attempts at building a castle that we think is made out of metal and stone and brick, and it will never collapse, when in reality, it's just sand. And it might look strong while you're constructing it, while it's during the day when the tide is out. But in the end of time, when all of humanity, all those who don't believe, when they approach the great white throne, they will know that it's not their works that have saved them. Everyone will know that it's the finished and complete work of Jesus Christ that has saved them, not potentially saved them if they comply. Salvation, the good news, is not an ultimatum. It's not a, you have to accept this and then it becomes real. It is real. Now, are you going to accept that now or later? That's up to God, because He's the one who grants His faith to believe in this. And the world considers this to be impossible. And who would believe this? Who has an earthly mind, or if anyone down there believes this, of course they can't. No one would want to believe in this because it means that your castle that you've constructed your whole life does not save you. It's useless. It's waste. All of our works are filthy rags before God. How can our works, how can our castle compare to the righteousness of God? It's nothing. And that pisses us off, which makes sense. If you spend your whole life constructing this and then God basically just swats it away, of course it's going to piss you off. Don't you think that those who built the Tower of Babel were pissed off when God confused the tongues, when he gave a bunch of languages to all of humanity to stop them from constructing the tower? Don't you think they were a little bit pissed off? I think they were. And that's just in our nature to be pissed off. When we spend all of our lives trying to build something and accomplish something, which what religion says is salvation, and then when someone like me comes along and tells you, but it's got nothing to do with your work. So all of this is nothing. It literally means nothing. Nothing that you can do can save yourself from the situation that you're in. We are all dying, and there's nothing that you can do to stop that. We're going to die. That is a fact. And when you die, you're not going to go into the celestials. You're not going to be in the kingdom after you die, because death is the end of life, not the continuation of it, but the transformation of your life into a different plane of existence. Because death is the absence of life. You do not exist when you are dead. That's why death is an enemy. And we are all underneath the curse of Adam. Mortality, death. It is death that we are being saved from. And because of Jesus Christ's death for sin, his entrance into the death state, his entombment and his resurrection by the one true God, this is guaranteed. This is written a contract in the blood of the Son of God that everyone will be saved from death. And it starts with the believers in the body of Christ. This requires faith to believe in, and faith comes from God. Nothing, no part of the equation of your salvation comes from you. It's God plus Christ equals salvation for everyone. You are not in this equation. So stop constructing your castles that you think is indestructible. Your castle is made from sand. And how hilarious do we think that we are when we construct this castle, that the tsunami of God, when it hits, will not destroy it? Of course it will. So how about you stop wasting your time constructing and trying to earn a salvation that which God has accomplished for you through Christ, and instead just appreciate what God has done for us all. That's what he wants. He wants all the glory and praise and honor and worship to go back to him. If you take even 1% or half of a percentage, or 0.1% of the glory and honor and praise from God and apply it to yourself, then you are robbing God of his own glory. And this is what religion teaches us to do. Because what is religion? It's a giant sandcastle. That's what it is. It looks indestructible. It looks so magnificent and glorious with all the cathedrals and all the different kinds of priests and pastors and all the history and tradition. It's so established. It's been around for thousands of years. When Jesus Christ comes back, all of that's just going to go away. It's going to be destroyed like a castle of sand when it comes against the tide. It's just going to be washed away. Just like this old creation. It will be washed away so the new creation can come about. And this is good news. We have to come to an end of ourselves. We have to stop being so prideful and boastful in ourselves and instead realize that the only thing that we can boast in is Christ in him crucified. Your castle of sand is going to be demolished, just like mine was. When I was trying to work for my salvation, or I was religious, I had that same mindset. So we're all guilty of this. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but my dear Christian, or an atheist, or a Muslim, or a Jew, or who's watching this right now, you cannot save yourself. In fact, if you try, you become self-righteous. And no one wants to be self-righteous. You want the righteousness of God through Jesus Christ's faith. And it's for everyone, but it's only on those who are believing. For there's no distinction between a Jew and a Gentile, because faith is universal. It doesn't matter who you are, what tribe you're from, or if you're from Scotland, or if you're from America, if you're a man or a woman or white or black, it doesn't matter. Faith can be granted to anyone. This is some really good news. You're being declared righteous by faith, by just believing the good news. That is some real good news. It's got nothing to do with our works, and it's got everything to do with faith. To just believe what God has already accomplished for you on the cross. That is some good news. So with that being said, love, grace, and peace to you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.